Hi, I'm Paul Solenberger. In this video, we're going to cover the installation of the new Ceramic Speed OSPW RS Alpha for Campagnolo Super Record and Super Record S wireless group sets. We'll start in our bike in a stand, and remove the chain and the rear wheel. You will not reuse the chain that was on the bike. We will measure a new, longer chain for the OSPW RS system. This installation can be done on bike, or you may remove the rear derailleur. However, it's usually easier to leave the derailleur on the bike. Now, with a 3mm Allen key, we will remove the back of the stock cage to have access to the mounting pin. Be mindful there are bushing covers as well as a center bushing for both pulley wheels. Now with the T20 Torx tool, we can go through the center of the mounting point for the upper pulley wheel and loosen the stock cage bolt, carefully holding the derailleur body when you break that free, and keeping a thumb on the bottom of the cage as this is under spring tension. Once the cage is free of the rotation stop point, you can allow it to easily unwind and continue removing the cage. You will reuse the stock spring as well as an internal metal bushing that'll go over the new mounting bolt included with the OSPW RS cage. At this point, we're ready to unbox and disassemble your OSPW RS system. When we open our box, you'll find the Ceramic Speed OSPW RS system. And below that, pulley wheel oil bottle for general maintenance of the bearings. Underneath the insert, you'll find the mounting bolt for proper installation, Ceramic Speed decal, the tension card to ensure proper installation, and a welcome note with information about the Ceramic Speed bike app. You're now ready to install the OSPW system onto the derailleur. Using a 2.5mm Allen key, we will remove the 3 bolts from the back of the cage system, setting these aside, the rear cage plate, and also setting aside the lower and upper alpha disc pulleys with their ADR dust shields. You also need to remove the rotation stop screw from the front of the cage to simplify the installation. We'll now place the included mounting bolt with a little bit of grease through the cage. And then we're going to use the factory spring. Both ends are the same, placing one end in the middle spring tension hole, and then placing the original factory bushing with the recessed larger opening side towards the cage over the mounting bolt. We will now align the spring and OSPW system with the back of the derailleur body. And you want to locate the spring tension hole within the derailleur body, and using your 4mm Allen key, we will tighten this into place. This goes to a torque of 4.5 Newton meters. You'll check that we have smooth, secure rotation, and carefully wind up and back, following the arrow on the back of the cage, past the rotation stop tower point, and then we'll go ahead and resecure our rotation stop tower. This is with a 2.5mm Allen key. It'll be a torque of just 1.5 Newton meters. With that secured, we'll make sure everything stops perfectly and rotates smoothly. We're now ready to assemble the rest of the OSPW system. First check, we have our ADR dust shields on both sides of the alpha disc pulley wheel with the rotation facing to the front of the cage here. Here's our lower 19-tooth pulley, followed by our upper 14-tooth pulley in this case, with rotation arrow following as the chain moves through. Now we can take our cage and we will align it to the back of the system. The 3 bolts are threaded into brass towers and do not need additional lubrication. With these appropriately torqued, with a torque tool of 1.5 Newton meters, you're now ready to install the wheel, measure, and install your chain. To measure our chain, we're going to shift down to the smallest cog in the rear and have the bike in the small chain ring up front so we can get an adequate, long enough measurement length. When we install and measure our chain, we want to take careful note of the routing through the derailleur. We're going to go between the 2 pulley wheels, but above the middle tower, wrap around the lower pulley wheel, and above and around the upper pulley wheel to the cassette. You go through the front derailleur, around the inner chainring, and now we'll be able to bring the chain forward. And what we're looking for is a small amount of tension on the cage, just enough to engage the spring. Find where our chain link would engage, minus 1 link set. Brings us here. Now with our cut chain, we can see there's a slight bit of tension on the cage and just enough room for our quick link. You ensure your quick link is correctly installed, then go ahead and run through the gears, check our B limit, and do any trim necessary. With Campagnolo Super Record and Super Record S wireless group sets, you can individually trim each cog as necessary to have the smoothest performance setup overall. We'll take a quick look here, making an adjustment on our B gap. We're going to be looking for between 7 and 10 millimeters of space between the upper pulley and the largest cog of the cassette. With your adjustments complete, your system's now installed and you're ready to go enjoy your ride.